Hello everyone, and welcome back to AiTommy's Art and Toon Talk, where I talk about art and cartoon topics. I plan to make an episode about the Rowdy Rough Boys, but with so much to say, the video ended up around 30 minutes long. Editing this long video felt overwhelming for me, so I paused on it for now. Hopefully I'll release it this year, but fingers crossed. Instead, I wanted to talk about the Powerpuff Girls Z and the video Saber Spark uploaded a year ago, titled Why Nobody Remembers the Powerpuff Girls Anime. I was kinda mad at the title of that video since I'm a diehard Powerpuff Girls Z fan, and I know so many others who also cherish Powerpuff Girls Z. Plus, I'm pretty sure the artwork in that screenshot is made by Aline SM, but I couldn't find the credit, so please check out her DeviantArt page. She's still creating amazing Powerpuff Girls Z continuation comics just like I do. Well, it's YouTube, and we all know that video needs a clickbaity title and thumbnail to stand out, so I can't really complain about that. Title aside, this video covers a lot of important details about the origins of the Powerpuff Girls Z. If you've never seen or heard of this anime, you should definitely check out his video. There are some points and critiques in the video that I mostly agree with, but as a diehard Powerpuff Girls Z fan, artist, and someone from Japan, I feel like I can add more to the discussion about the choices the showrunners made. I know the anime itself is not that deep, but I just love analyzing my favorite things. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. What is Powerpuff Girls Z? The Powerpuff Girls Z, aka Demasta Powerpuff Girls Z, is an anime adaptation of the cartoon The Powerpuff Girls. Simple. It's clearly influenced by the magical girl anime trope, but one of its catchphrases is, "It's not magical, it's scientific," which is pretty funny to me, because they have a talking animal sidekick, transformed with a compact mirror, and originally, there are even fairies in the concept art to help the girls. So yeah, it's definitely a magical girl anime. Even though the show is based on the Powerpuff Girls cartoon, this anime is completely different from the original. And some aspects have even drawn a bit of criticism, such as the action is mediocre, the story is boring, and the characters, especially Momoko, Hyper Blossom, feels completely different and underwhelming compared to her counterpart in the original series. The villains aren't very threatening either, and there's not much happening in the storyline overall. Honestly, these critiques are totally valid. I can't deny that. It's just an okay show if I completely detach my love and nostalgia for it. But I wanted to share my thoughts on why the showrunners made these changes and the story they wanted to tell as a fan and Japanese viewer of the series. So what can I bring to the discussion? Let's start with the setting and the tone of the story. One of the biggest criticism is that the pacing is really slow and not much happens throughout the series. Again, totally agree. If you prefer action-packed, exciting story or heavy dark themes, you'll be disappointed. You'll be really disappointed. That's totally understandable. Here's my hot take. Powerpuff Girls Z is a parody of the magical girls anime genre, much like how the original Powerpuff Girls parodies the superhero genre. It's a magical girl anime, but they don't use any magic because it's scientific. They are superheroes like the original selves, but they don't fight against human criminals. One of the biggest changes is that the story takes place in Tokyo City, a fictional capital city in fictional Japan, instead of Townsville in the fictional United States. Even though it's fictional, it has to have some aspect that is tied to the original source. What do I mean by that? Well, Japan is generally a very safe country. Okay, I'm not saying Japan is 100% safe or anything, but I'm speaking from my experience as someone who lives near Tokyo and has traveled to other countries like the US and lived there for several years. I was pretty scared when I took a bus or train alone in LA after 5 p.m. I've never felt that way in Japan. So we are not familiar with guns, robbery, or those kinds of crimes we seen in the Papa Girls series. And I'm pretty sure the showrunners didn't want the girls to fight against those serious crimes. Well, of course they could take in that route, but again, they aim to make these series different from the original, and I believe they wanted to create more family-friendly, cute shoujo anime vibe. As a result, the story feels a bit slower and peaceful. I think peaceful is the word that best fits the tone of the Papa Girl Z. There are monsters, aliens, and underground beings, but they're pretty chill. They exist without much explanation and aren't threatening at all. I mean, in one of the episodes, Momoko's lie almost caused a war against the aliens, but that was the part of the comedy. You get the point. But there are one thing that we as Japanese truly fear that threatens our daily lives and feels much more familiar to us. Natural disasters like typhoons, earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanoes. And it's this natural disaster that serves as the reason for the birth of the Papa Girl Z and ultimately what they fight against at the end of the series. At the beginning of the series, they explain that abnormal weather events are happening all around the world, which we didn't know why it happened. It's kind of weird, but anyways, I used that event as a plot in my fanfic, so Ken, who is the son of the Professor Utonium, shoots Chemical Z at an ice park that appears in Tokyo Bay, creating the white and black rays. The black rays give rise to the monsters, while the white rays grant powers to the girls and Peach, Ken's digital robotic dog. One thing I wanted to highlight is that the monsters were specifically chosen to become monsters, and Peach was selected to be able to speak thanks to these rays. However, the girls are not the chosen ones. The white rays didn't select them to become the Powerpuffs. They just happened to be in the right place when the white rays fell. They just wanted to protect an innocent kid from those unknown lights, and that's how they gained their powers. Am I overthinking this? Probably, but as a nerd, I need to bring these little details up and praise them. At the end of the series, Kim gained ultimate power and caused Mount Fuji to erupt, which is one of the natural disasters that is predicted to happen in the future, in real life. Godzilla and other kaiju monsters are often depicted as the symbol of the natural disasters in Japan, and I could see why the showrunners made him do these kind of things, rather than make him big and destroy cities by himself. In that moment, the girls truly understood what it meant to be the hero of the city. They just wanted to save the people. Even though most of the series was slow-paced and comedy-based, they made the final episodes more exciting and rewarding in my opinion. Alright, I've talked enough about how the setting affects the tone of the series. Now let's discuss the characters. Why did they make such significant changes to some of them? The characters of the Papa Girl Z. I really love the characters in the series. Well, most of them. I'm gonna talk about my honest opinions on these characters in the next video, so stay tuned. In Papa Girl Z, the girls aren't made from sugar, spice, everything nice, and chemical X. They weren't even friends before becoming the Papa Girl Z. Professor Utonium has a wife, a son, and a dog, and they're Japanese. Savers Sport covered this aspect really well, explaining why the girls aren't sisters and the Professor Utonium is not a single father. I also wanted to point out that in most Magical Girl series, the main protagonists aren't blood related. They're often friends from school or similar settings. It makes sense because middle schoolers spend time at school and form friendships, expanding their world, compared to kindergartners who are mostly attached to families and stay home after school. So it makes sense that the girls are not family. That said, I see things a bit differently from some of the points he made in the video, especially regarding the girls' personalities. One common assumption people make is that there's a personality swap between Bubbles and Blossom. They claim that Momoko has the original Bubbles personality, while Miyako has Blossom's. I'm not sure if it's due to the changes in the dubbed version, but as a Japanese who view both the OG Powerpuff Girls series and these, each girl has their own original personalities. Let's start with Kaoru's personality. Many people say Kaoru matches Buttercup's, and while I can see the similarities, I also don't completely agree. Kaoru is a tomboy who loves sports, just like Buttercup. But Kaoru despises anything girly. I don't think Buttercup has that extreme of a dislike for girly things. She's fine with playing with other girls with girly toys, wearing skirts and dressing up, which Kaoru absolutely hates. And we can see Buttercup has soft spots quite a few times, but we rarely saw Kaoru's soft spots. Kaoru acts almost like a shonen comic protagonist. I mean, she looks like one. One thing I wanted to highlight is her first person pronoun in Japanese. The original Buttercup in Japanese dubs use atashi, which has a more girly, tomboyish nuance compared to watashi, a more natural, formal, and commonly used pronoun. In contrast, Kaoru uses ore, which is typically used by guys and those who are more masculine. While some of the female characters use boku, which is more considered a male pronoun but much softer, very few female characters use ore to refer to themselves. In one episode, she falls for a boy from her school and tries to act like a girly girl, but that's the only episode that really showcases her femininity. Like, look at her, look at her face. And I love that her tough and strong demeanor creates a great contrast with the other members. But yeah, she's similar to Buttercup, a bit more masculine though. Let's move on to Miyako. She's a calm and gentle girl and really popular at school. She's sweet and caring, but also makes some airheaded comments. We call a girl like her tennen in Japanese. And I don't really get why people say Miyako has Blossom's personality. Yes, Miyako is more reserved and laid back compared to the other two, but here's the thing, Miyako isn't the leader of the group. She plays a more supportive role, and her weapon, like literal bubbles, reflects that. She doesn't really take charge in fights against the monsters. She saves people from falling or makes a cushion to protect them from danger. Momoko and Kaoru often start quarreling like the original Blossom and Buttercup, while Miyako, like Bubbles, steps in to help stop the chaos. So I would argue that Miyako is actually more similar to Bubbles. While they're both innocent, Bubbles tends to act and react quickly to the situation and can snap, whereas Miyako is much more slower and more gentle, if that makes sense. Okay, finally, let's discuss the biggest change they made regarding the girls' personalities. Momoko Akazutsumi, my girl. Momoko is the self-proclaimed leader of the Powerpuff Girls Z. She's obsessed with sweets, action comics, and ikemen, which means good-looking boys. She's ditzy and easily falls in love. Honestly, she's kinda dumb. I'd say she's the least studious of the three. Momoko does some questionable things as a hero, like stealing a cake from Ken and lying about having a boyfriend, which almost leads to a war against aliens. It's not like Blossom stole the gold bag to make Professor happy, you know. Aside from being the leader and the big red bow, Momoko and the original Blossom don't have much in common. Many people wonder why her personality has changed so significantly from her original counterpart. There are several theories about why they changed her personality so much. One theory is that, as the main protagonist of the series, Momoko was designed to fit the magical girl protagonist formula. For example, some people say she shares a personality with Usagi from Sailor Moon. They are both bubbly, cheerful, and a bit clumsy. I could see that comparison. Momoko embodies those characteristics typical magical girl protagonist. similar to those we see in Precure and other magical girl animes. But with more comedic and extreme twist, it makes sense that they would tailor her characters to appeal to Japanese girls, making her more relatable to that audience. But I wanted to introduce another aspect to this argument. Remember how I mentioned that the tone of the Papa Girl Z is peaceful? I believe that because of the tone of the series is much more peaceful and comedic compared to the original, they decided to exaggerate or twist Momoko's personality to fit that vibe. This argument ties into Saber Spark's criticism of the main villains in the Papa Girl Z. He pointed out that all the villains are weaker and not threatening at all compared to those in the original series, like Mojo Jojo. Yes, I completely agree with him. I believe that's exactly what the showrunners intended to achieve. They didn't want these villains to be evil characters that the girls need to imprison. Instead, they're more like annoying neighbors in the town. Most of the villains in the Papa Girl Z have some redeemable qualities. Mojo has multiple episodes where he has crush on someone and wants to be loved. He says he wanted to conquer the world, but it feels like he would stop evil things if somebody showed love and care for him. He also invites other monsters to his house and play cards together and treats each other like friends. Maybe. Fuzzy had a crush on Miss Bellum, and his dark aura dissipated when his heart was filled with love. Himeko, aka Princess, is an arrogant rich girl, but also an ignored sibling who desperately seeks attention because her perfect elder sister, Miko, takes away all her parents' praises and love. I mean, Miko's name literally means the child of God. Wow. Miko is much more greedy and prideful than Himeko and outsmarted the Papa Girl Z in one episode. Super cool but nasty character. She'll be in my comic as well. Anyways, so we can see why Himeko became the monster princess. She's funny and I love her so much. Sedusa is an insecure girl working at her lost parents' Japanese sweets shop. She transforms into Sedusa because she can't wear makeup for her job as a patissier and wants to gain her crush's love. She's jealous of Miss Bellum because she's beautiful, and the makeup item like lipstick turns her into a monster. There are several villains I haven't talked about, but you get the point. They're not really villains in the traditional sense. Him is the only true villain who is purely evil and the girls have to fight and eliminate to save the day. And he has the same voice actor as Frieza-sama, so you know he's powerful and OP. And this ties back to the argument about Momoko's personality. Most of the villains in this series aren't truly threatening. They're annoying, but not cruel or genuinely evil. If the leader of the Papa Girl Z were confident and sometimes arrogant due to her intelligence and like the original Blossom, it could make her too strong and somewhat unlikable. If she were as smart and eager to save the day as the original Blossom, she could easily outsmart and disarm all the villains in the series except him. In the original Papa Girls, the villains are evil and clever, committing genuinely harmful acts that force the girls to be smart and fight for their lives to save the day. That's what makes Blossom a strong character. Her intelligence and leadership were essential for facing off such criminals. However, I don't think her personality would fit well in the Papa Girl Z series. Momoko is a troublemaker and clumsy. She's super cheerful and a bit airheaded. But I believe her personality fits perfectly in the Papa Girl Z series, making the show memorable for me and so many people. Sometimes she's the one causing the trouble, but that's okay. While she isn't as clever as Blossom, she can be smart when needed, most of the time being the first to come up with a plan to trick or defeat a monster. She doesn't have to be like the original Blossom. She's Momoko, and that's why I love her so much. Aside from the girls and monsters, the Kitazawa family is one of my favorite aspects of the series. Professor Utonium, also known as Utonium Kitazawa, isn't the girl's father, but he cares for them like his own family. One of my favorite scenes is when Ken decided to go to school and Professor Utonium prepares a ton of bento boxes for him. It's just so wholesome. He's smart and serious, but he's so cute and funny at the same time, like the original Professor Utonium. Ken is Professor Utonium's son, and despite being only 8 years old, he's a boy genius who has already graduated from the grad school. He's smart and knows how to act smart, but sometimes his immaturity shows, which leads to him getting tricked by Mojo or becoming a monster. He misses his mother a lot, who works on the space station. I also love the friendship between him and his dog, Pooch is a digital talking dog with the power to help the girls transform. And he can sense the dark aura or energy created by the monsters and him. I believe he serves as a counterpart to the talking dog in the original series, but honestly, I like Peach more. Mayor is Mayor. I mean, he's more mature than the original Mayor, but honestly, that's a pretty low bar to clear. As for Miss Bellum, she's just as smart and supportive as her original self when it comes to helping the mayor running Tokyo City. About her hair color though, I'm not sure why they changed it from the original red hair. Maybe it's because the mayor has silver hair, so they decided to make hers blonde. I think she looks better as blonde next to him, but that's just my opinion. I just can go on and on about other characters like Michelle, who is voiced by the same voice actor as these characters, Miyako's crush, Takaaki Cody, the girl's family members, Soichiro-san, more side characters, but I'll stop here. Let's move on to the ultimate question, shall we? Is Powerpuff Girls Z just a meh anime series overall? As I mentioned in this video, I completely understand why some people find Powerpuff Girls Z mediocre or boring compared to the original series. The focus here is on comedic scenarios and character interaction rather than intense action or serious scenes like the original had. The animation is sometimes good, but not all the time. I mean, it's not Jujutsu Kaisen or something, so if you get used to that level of animation quality, this anime seems lame. It's not really a story-driven series. The girls and other main characters don't change much from beginning to end. However, if you enjoy lighthearted, cute magical girl, slice-of-life anime that inspired by the Powerpuff Girls, I'm sure you'll appreciate this show, just like many other fans do. I'm currently working on a fan continuation comic based on the series. The first concept was created back when I was in middle school. While I love Powerpuff Girls Z as it is, I wanted to craft a more character-driven story with some darker themes and new villains. Plus, there are so many characters from the original Powerpuff Girls series we didn't see in the Powerpuff Girls Z series. I plan to incorporate some Cartoon Network characters into my story, similar to what Powerpuff Girls Doujinshi did, while still maintaining a lighthearted and comedic tone. Chapter 2 is already available on my website, so feel free to check it out. It's completely free to read. Lin SM is also making a fan continuation comic of Powerpuff Girls Z. I put her DeviantArt link in the description. If you still love and hold this series dear to your heart, please share it and let your friends know about it. And don't let anyone say that nobody remembers Powerpuff Girls Z anymore. Saber Spart, I love you video, and thank you so much for covering this series on your channel. Well, that's it for today. Again, these are opinions of a die-hard Powerpuff Girls Z fan, so they are super biased. But sometimes you gotta defend what you love, you know? If you love this anime and want to share your thoughts, please share them in the comment section. Once again, I'm AiTommy's. If you like my video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye!
A special shout out to my coffee supporter. Thank you so much for supporting my work. I truly appreciate your kindness and encouragement.